Ms. Lerner, why would you say Tea Party cases were very dangerous?
On the advice of my counsel, I respectfully exercise my Fifth Amendment right and decline to answer that question.
They knew they were breaking the law. They knew they were violating our rights.
There were some boneheaded decisions out of a
but no
law
mass
office.
corruption.
Not even mass corruption, not even a smidgen of corruption.
It was the tip of the iceberg. It was far worse than even we expected.
The IRS has finally released a list of political groups it has scrutinized.
It was something that no one could believe our government was even capable of doing.
They have way too much power and no accountability.
Never before has the federal government tried to muzzle everyday Americans solely because of their political view.
That is as wrong as it gets.
Lois Lerner knew what was coming, and it wasn't going to be pretty.
We were fighting the United States of America at this point. We accidentally stumbled into the corruption that is going to be and is the largest scandal in American history.
A 501c4 organization gets tax-exempt status in the U.S. because it promotes something related to the social welfare. It's something that's happening in your local community or in the area you live in, so it's a group of citizens. Ultimately, it's about an issue, basically. It can be one issue, it can be a set of issues that you come together to work on and agree upon. It's not specifically for politics, but certainly, of course, when you deal with issues that affect the community, ultimately there's some politics that comes into play. But it uniquely lays out how do you do this without becoming a political action committee, without keeping that tax-exempt status. You go to the IRS and say, we want this status, so we will submit voluntarily to your oversight, IRS. We will abide by the rules. We will abide by the reporting requirements necessary so that we get this status as a tax-exempt organization. It was unbelievably disturbing what the IRS had sent out in these questionnaires to these groups that they knew were being led by private individuals without a lot of experience in politics. They were small. They knew that from their initial applications. So they would do the initial 501c3 or 501c4 application. Then they received these, what I talk about, these unbelievably disturbing questions. They got these follow-ups. And we realized there was a pattern of these follow-ups asking very invasive information and that was unconstitutional to be inquiring about to the American people. Speakers list, the actual speeches themselves, contents of prayers at meetings, backdoor access to their website. Not just what is your website, but we want a password to get into the back door of your website and be able to see what's going on internally as well. So not the normal questionnaire. They already filled that information out.
It was clearly coordinated, targeted, and they were trying to silence a voice. They were bullying people into giving up and walking away.
The report is coming out this week, the Inspector General report, and it has outrageous conclusions about how organizations seeking tax-exempt status were handled. It shows that not only did Tea Party groups get more scrutiny, but so did a host of other conservative groups that dared to criticize government spending and discuss the national debt.
I have obtained a soon-to-be-released investigative report that shows that the IRS started targeting Tea Party groups more than 3 years ago, and that among the criteria they used was to target groups that were critical of the way the country is being run.
If, in fact, IRS personnel engaged in the kind of practices that have been reported on and were intentionally targeting conservative groups, then that's outrageous.
These criteria were inappropriate in that they did not focus on tax-exempt laws and Treasury regulations. They remained in effect for approximately 18 months.
The IRS is saying, we're sorry, we made mistakes, and they were not politically motivated. They blame this all on low-level employees. But Tea Party leaders, they're not buying it. They rejected the apology and demanded the resignation of everyone involved at the IRS.
About 75 groups were flagged by the IRS for further review for one reason. Their applications for tax-exempt status contained the words Tea Party or Patriot.
What the Internal Revenue Service had done was to have created a list, a be-on-the-lookout list, that really said to its agents in the exempt organizations unit, if you see an organization that has certain buzzwords or words in it that would suggest they are conservative in their political outlook or in their political message, We want you to basically give them a hard time in getting tax-exempt status. Make them answer a lot of hard questions. Make them answer questions that other organizations on the political left don't have to answer, and just make it tough on them to get tax-exempt status so we can string it out.
There was a serious systematic problem within the IRS that allowed this issue to percolate all the way to the top. And was Lois Lerner was the head of the tax-exempt organization. You had Maine Treasury. There were concerns that it reached into the White House. And, and the President Obama dismissed this as inconsequential. But ultimately, the way to handle this was court. You had to be in court to get this resolved.
The IRS, what do they say sometimes, late than never, better late than never, now formally apologizing to Tea Party groups over this Obama-era targeting, they said those groups are saying was going on.
It's not just that they're acknowledging the wrongdoing, they've taken action that'll be codified in a court order next week.
And they've agreed that it's wrong to apply U.S. laws against any individual based upon their name, the positions that they hold, provided they're lawful positions, which ours, of course, were, the issues that we espouse, or our associations or even perceived associations. That's the first point. The second point is that the government has agreed that their actions, whatever they take in this process, must be even-handed and never based upon the applicant's name, their political viewpoint or associations or perceived associations.
So the end result was the IRS did the right thing by resolving the case with an injunction that mandated a complete change of the IRS nonprofit tax-exempt work as it relates to issue advocacy organizations. It's one of the most significant wins in the ACLJ's history. To take on the IRS and win.
In the future, if any group feels like they're being targeted, ever, they can go to federal court and bring our case that, the judge ruled and enjoined the IRS, said you can't do this anymore. And they can say, they're targeting me because of my politics, and you gotta stop them. And that's not gonna take 5 years. That's gonna take 5 minutes. That's a victory because it protects our rights going forward.